Good afternoon, everybody. I have a few topics. I put on my Facebook page a few people, to ask me some questions that they might want me to answer. So I'm going to go ahead and answer all of them in one video. The first question we have comes from Chris Porton. He's the co-founder of IL and Wellness, also one of my business partners, and a nutritionist here in Wilmington, North Carolina. And he asks what the 3 most important entrepreneurial lessons I have learned in my experience are. So, starting off, we have the first lesson, which is to do what is immediate. If you have a task, an email, anything in front of you, take care of it as soon as you get it. Don't ever touch anything twice. Don't think, I'll file this and get back to it later. It's a bad practice. You're going to waste energy. You're going to waste potency. Take care of everything as fast as you can. And if you do file it away for later, make sure it's filed away in such a way later that it's now out of your hands. And that's my second point. Make sure whatever you do is out of your hands. Define done. Make sure that you define what the thing, what the task that makes everything you need to do be done is. So the idea is, once you pass something along, it doesn't need to come back to you. That you've already done quality assurance for it, that you've dotted the I's and crossed the T's. Make sure that done is completely defined. It doesn't need to come back to you. And the final thing is to treat everything as an investment. This means that if you have a car, a whiteboard, anything, take good care of it. Imagine that it's an investment for anything else. You want to imagine that if you're doing videos like this, that your apartment, your home is clean enough to make those videos happen. That's an investment. You want to make sure your car is in such a way that it maintains value for the next thing. That's an investment. You want to push that forward. Invest in everything. So the 3 things that I say are most important lessons I've learned: do what's immediate, define what done is, and treat everything, every task, every item that you have as an investment. Now, Chris also asked a second question. I'll go ahead and touch point on this one. I do a lot of wellness business in Wilmington, so he asked me, what do I define as true health? And I think that's a pretty easy thing to talk about. True health has to do with fitness. For instance, you hear a very healthy sounding cat in the background because we have a mechanical pet bowl that feeds her now. Health is fitness, the ability to thrive. And the more somebody can thrive, the better it performs, especially in a way that it performs without diminishing itself. That's what health is. So you have any kind of input going into a system, this dot represents a system, the more it can produce while maintaining its own efficacy, that's what health is. So if you can eat a bowl of soup and run a 3-hour marathon, you're probably pretty healthy physically. If you can get a bit of information, a compliment, some messages, and you can do the most of that information, that's a healthy type of cognitive capacity. That's what health is. Furthermore, you want to be fit for your environment. You don't want to be healthy in such a way that you're a great runner, but you live on a small island. It's not going to do you very good to be able to be a marathon runner on an island where you can only do small sprints. So health also has to do with your context and your environment. So those are the 2 aspects for me what true health are. Thank you very much, Chris. So the next question comes from Victoria, who is the creator and maker and owner of Purgatory Shop, and she asks some questions I have about hashtags, the best practices for hashtags, and I'll give you the best answer I can give for that. And the answer is I have none. I have absolutely no good insight on hashtags from a marketing standpoint. So I'll tell you to do what I did, which was to hire somebody who knows a lot about it to really kind of fill that in for you, because the problem with hashtags is it takes away from your business when you're doing a lot of that marketing. You have to keep up with what's trending. It's going to change every day. There might be a different event. You need to load everything you're doing. So hashtag is kind of a scary part for me as a business owner. I try my best to stay away from that and have somebody else take care of it. But what I will tell you, besides hiring out, is when you are putting hashtags into your own content, remember that you're a person and that people are going to be reading your message. Once you put the hashtags out there and the bots and algorithms trend it and put it where it needs to be, eventually the person that gets this message is going to be a human being that's going to want content. So I tend to place my hashtags in sentences like, I'm glad to hashtag cycle across hashtag boardwalks. Just choose relevant words for whatever you're doing to be the key factors in what you're actually working with here, or else people might not care to see just the spammy explosion of what these hashtags are. And I hope that helps you out. There are lots of very talented people in this town. Victoria, I know that you're local, so I hope that helps you out to some extent. The last question I had came from Richard Moore, the founder of 8-Step Startup. If you don't follow him on social media, he's brilliant, a startup expert. And he asks, in my opinion, on young mentors, talking about how there are different camps. People who might say, there's no way an 18-year-old could possibly be experienced or knowledgeable enough to actually give any type of really good feedback as a mentor or a leader, and that at some point they're playing a game. And there are others that say that any amount of knowledge you can get, these people may have experience, especially for some of the more efficacious of them. They might have some valuable knowledge, and I'll kind of give you my opinion on these camps. And mine is, you need to remember the context of where people come from. This is Bob. Bob may be a very brilliant person, but maybe he's not a very good self-starter. Bob might be in his 40s, he might have a lot of really good experience in his industry, but doesn't know where to go to become an investor in it, to maybe consult, to become a broker in services he knows really well. So here we have Linda. Linda might be much younger, but when Linda was 16, she started her own consultancy. This is very powerful for Bob because he gets to see how easy it is to start. Linda comes with almost no experience, but with all the energy. So maybe what Bob needs in the context of his experience is that he needs to see this kind of self-starting attitude. He needs to see this energy. So this is a great big check for Bob. Now, let's say that we have someone else who's exactly like Bob. Maybe they work together, and this guy's name is Stan. Stan has the exact same profile as Bob, but maybe a slightly different upbringing. So he wants to speak to someone over here, and we'll call this person Larry, who is maybe 10 years older than Stan. He's been a CEO of major companies, had a couple of exits, he wrote a couple of books, and he's very experienced, he's very wealthy. Took him a long time to get there. And Stan respects that. Stan really respects that he sees somebody who seems so much like him. So now it's more realistic to Stan to get the experience from Larry, who's been doing this since, God Make Morning, and really relates to that part of him. And so Stan and Larry is a great match. Both Linda and Larry can give the same type of expertise and the same type of information, but the context of where this information comes from sometimes matters. So all of Linda's self-motivation and all of Larry's experience, it has to hit the target in such a way that's what the target's looking for. Maybe Bob feels like he just needs to know where to start, so he looks for a starter. And maybe Stan needs to know where he's going, so he looks for someone who continued. That's the context. Let people who mentor do what they do, and the value that they can provide in results is whether or not they should be listened to. No one's going to be great for everybody. Some people come with a more spiritual message of prosperity, some people come with a financial message, and some people come with the independence message. And let everybody find exactly what they need. Now, I do have one more question, by the way, and this was from Julius, who asked some questions. She wanted some touch-ups on his nunchucking and martial arts efficacy. So starting off with this, Julius, tightness. The tighter you are when you're doing martial arts is the more power you have, because you can extend in tightness and you can also defend in tightness. You can extend and defend. You're able to move your motions very much in a tight space, and this means that you have more flexibility. And if you are flailing about, you find your arms open, this is a good way to not only damage yourself with your own weapon when you're doing with nunchucks, but it's a good way to allow the enemy to find a way to also attack you. And you don't want that to happen. That's not going to be good for anybody. So the tighter you are, the closer you can be with your body, the more you can control. That's pretty much what you want to focus on. So thank you very much for that, Julius. We can do a lot more about that. So that was my questions. I'll place this on Facebook and YouTube. If you have any more questions to ask, please feel free to send them in my way, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.